Soundstripe. Soundstripe. Soundstripe.
Okay, so this is episode 0 of our podcast in our Headspace, and I am right now editing episode 0 and realizing that I never actually formally introed the first episode, so it's just me by myself. Jared, my co-host, is not with me as of right this moment, but the point of me doing this is just so I can kind of start it off the way I was hoping to start it off, and that's the whole point of this episode 0, is to just kind of go through the motions and figure out what to do better. That way, by the time we do episode 1, which we're actually recording tomorrow, it'll actually feel a little bit more professional. But I like this because it gives kind of an idea of what we're doing. So, yeah, I guess we'll just jump right in. I cut out a good portion at the beginning because it was kind of irrelevant. So it'll sound like we're kind of jumping into the middle of a conversation, but I don't know. I think this stuff is interesting and hopefully enjoyable to listen to. So have fun.
So yes, you're right.
Mm-hmm.
The quality information, that shit is never. Okay, not never, but
You're dealing in absolutes over there.
yes, I am. A lot of the times, for me,
Yeah.
it seems that quality information it's a rarity.
I think accurate and well-documented information comes second to getting the information out first.
This is where it gets really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So the reason why it's upsetting for me, and I would when I explain it to you, might agree with this.
Right.
What I hate about it is that I don't know where I got this. Maybe it was when I started going to college. But for me, what's been a big importance is the pursuit of knowledge, but also specifically the truth.
Right.
Because there's a lot of things that can go wrong with just believing in lies.
Yes.
And
Obviously.
for example, what pisses me off,
Mm-hmm.
the fucking medical industry here,
Mm-hmm.
I think it's complete bullshit.
In terms of what?
Okay, so I'm not saying synthetic drugs are bad.
Okay.
There's times where it could be helpful.
Right.
There's times where it's like, hey, I have this problem.
Yes.
You could take this.
Yes.
Now, and this gets really hard because with doctors, they pledge the whole oath,
I will not take another person's life.
yeah, which then
Mhm.
gets into euthanasia. But I'm not going to talk about euthanasia.
I don't even know. Technically, from
Yeah, well,
through the
because
grapevine, the doctor doesn't do that.
yeah,
It's a dedicated person.
yeah. In my ethics class, I did a whole
Okay.
study on that field, which a reason why doctors don't and maybe can't is the right word
Yeah.
is because they take that oath on their whole purpose, helping people, not
Right.
ending someone's life.
Correct.
Even because then you can get that great maybe ending them really is the best thing,
Mm-hmm.
but the whole point is they took that oath, they want to uphold their oath.
Correct.
For example, in law, you have a precedent, a first thing happens, and then a judge determines what the best appropriate action is.
Correct.
And so then when that same exact action happens, people could look back at it and be like, this is what typically happens. So for
Yes.
example, when you get a speeding ticket,
Yep.
it's $100, pay it.
Mhm.
When you look at people before, it's you get fined and then you just pay it. But then if, for example, you were put in jail, they confiscated everything, it's okay, that's a bit different.
Oh yeah.
You
If
know,
they take more action
Yeah.
than the precedent before it.
Yeah, because like when you look at that past history that you're allowed to view or you see, you have a standard.
Yes.
And so what I find painful about the medical industry is that I feel like the standard's just fucked up to begin with.
Okay.
So this is definitely conspiracy theorist territory. So
Okay.
don't take
Conspiracy warning.
Yeah.
If you don't like conspiracy theories, too bad. I don't like them, but I'm dealing with it.
I love them. So what I find painful, first of all, Brett Weinstein, evolutionary biologist, supposedly a pretty good one.
Okay.
He talked about it on Joe Rogan's podcast, and he's trying to spread the word about it. He was saying that lab rats in America, they all come from one place. And what's interesting about these lab rats, it's like they've been genetically modified over time, because the whole point of these rats is literally to test drugs on.
Right.
Because I've also done this in my biology class about the ethics in science.
Yes.
And a huge part in ethics in science is human testing. Like, there's a lot you can't do in terms of testing on another human being.
Yes.
And so, for example, when you create a drug, there's like multiple factors. Like one is, like this drug that's unknown. Like we don't know what it will do. We think it'll do something, but again, we don't know until we have results. Like you could try it on someone, but like maybe it really fucks them up, and it's like, okay, that's really bad.
Right.
Or you try it and like maybe it just fucking kills them.
Yes.
Or then there's times where maybe immediately it doesn't do anything,
but then
like years out,
30 years
and so
later.
it's just like, okay, we don't fucking. And so like so another good like, it seems like the next best thing to do is rats. They're cheap. They don't have as long as the lifespan as a human being does.
They're mammals. Yeah.
So it's like, okay, it's good enough.
But I want to interject for a second. What I never got is like technically with their, and obviously it's not, what I'm about to say isn't as big of a factor clearly because they continue to test on rats. What I'm saying is like,
Yeah.
in theory, with them having a smaller body,
Okay.
they tend to have faster digestive systems because they consume less food or because of whatever reason. But the fact is they digest and like ingest food and process it within their bodies faster than a human would just because we're bigger creatures. So like,
Okay.
I can see how that can be beneficial to the testing because then they get results faster.
Okay.
But like, if the goal is to be like, oh, we need the person who takes this medicine
Yeah.
to show results within this time period, unless they have some sort of scale or metric or formula or whatever to convert that, like, how are we able to then test it on a rat and be like, okay, this will work in an effective time frame on a human, even though it worked in this time frame on the rat?
From what I understand, it's definitely a flawed system.
Yes.
Like for example, as you said, like rats compared to humans, like for example, like you could actually breed flies and like see changes over like within like
mutations.
Yeah, like mutations. You could see them change colors and shit. Like you could literally see like, I don't know if I want to call it evolution. Maybe like, I
don't know if that's evolution. I think
evolution is having
adaptations are evolution.
Yeah, like okay.
Mutations are technically evolution,
yes.
But the mutations that give you an
what my teacher told me. Yeah, you only call an adaptation if it's good, and it's only good if you keep living. That's the only time that's the only time it's called an adaptation. Because the other time you mutate and they just fuck off and die.
You just grow a third arm and then
you
just
and then you're like, I guess I'll die.
Yeah,
but you could see immediate changes, and you'd be like, yeah, like when you start breeding them, you could start getting like Punnett squares, and you can start getting into predicting their like 25%, 50% are going to have this, 25% are going to like have this cycle. Like you get shit like that.
Probabilities.
You can start getting probabilities and stuff like that. That also translates to us as well. But like you're just able to see it immediately in flies because their lifespan is so fucking short.
Which means their generational span is, anyways.
You can also do it with plants. But anyways, so back to the rats. So what was interesting about these rats, from what I understand, was that these rats come from a family of just being used as lab rats and being tested on.
Right.
They are not rodents like
So
in
they're not
Cameron's
even
backyard.
They're not even solid test subjects, is what you're getting at?
Yes, that's what I'm getting at.
They're not a good, what is it called?
I have no clue.
Well, now I'm forgetting. But anyways,
I understand what you're like. They're not a good test subject, really.
Yes, they're not a good base.
Yeah, it's
for the, because there's like the variable 1, variable 2, and then there's
like
the base, which has no alterations to it.
So like, okay, so with the rats, what's interesting about these ones? So there's a thing called a telomere. I think it's the end of your chromosome. Don't quote me on that.
You're wrong.
I know I know it has to do with the telomeres though. So
okay,
I know that.
Like
where
mutation?
the telomere is located, fuck, I don't know. I think it's the end of. I swear to God, it's the end of the chromosome. But anyways,
2020 is the end of my chromosome.
Yes, sir. But what was interesting? So with these rats, these lab rats specifically, they have very, very long telomeres. And when compared to rodents, rats,
like normal
rats, like in Cameron's backyard where his cat kills it and Cameron steps on it, and we're like,
those
that's,
are mice.
Yeah. Oh,
those aren't rats. I want to make that
Anyways,
clear.
All right, whatever. They found that the telomeres on them are way, 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 way shorter. I was like, okay, why is that important?
Yeah.
Why is that important? So the difference between the short telomere rats and the long telomere rats is that the long telomere rats reproduce cells like so fast, like if they have some sort of disease or something or some injury,
they have a side effect. Oh, okay. I see what you. Never mind. Continue.
they're able to heal
way faster.
inhumanly, like incredibly fast. Yeah.
They're not human, so
okay, whatever.
Very fast.
Compared to a normal rat, they're fucking they're a super rat. It's like holy shit, like
okay.
They're like Wolverine.
They're even less. Okay, I see your point.
Okay,
now.
so the whole point was about like toxicity when taking a drug. So when you give them a drug, but then you have this fucker that
is Wolverine over
Wolverine.
Here.
It's like
yeah.
The best way to get a result is like you give it so much you just fucking kill it.
And
because like
you
just
overloaded
overloaded
this is the dosage.
Yeah, and so then you're like, okay, just like maybe cut that in half. That's good.
We'll do some stomper math on this one and just give it to the public.
And so when you get to these weird things where it's like, that's your fucking subject, like this thing that's basically been bred to fight off like toxicity and heal, that's your fucking subject. Like that's what you want to base it off of. That's
what you want to test on humanity. Well, that's big pharma, right? Pharmacies, or is it?
Yes. Yes.
There's a lot.
Who else is distributing drugs? Your fucking local weed dealer.
Who
knows where that shit came from?
It's not gonna make you a superhuman. I'll tell you that.
It's gonna kill you if this fucking like whatever the fuck he got under his fucking
under his kitchen sink. Yeah.
That's what's gonna kill you. Probably not the rat though.
So let's get a little more existential here.
Yeah, wait.
Oh, okay. You're not done.
No, I'm not done.
Okay. We'll pause on the existential.
Yeah, pause. Remember it. Don't forget it.
Okay. Thinking.
So then this is another side thing. So in theory then, if these rats heal themselves so fucking crazy, then a theory could be like, well, if they keep healing and it doesn't stop, could they be immortal? They just don't die. What's interesting about all these rats then, almost like all of them or something, like high amounts of them, Kay? What?
Did Big Pharma just create immortal rats?
No. This is it gets weird how we are. All these rats like die from cancer.
Oh.
Because what happens is, for example, then the best way from how it was described, like let's just say like these are two cells, okay?
You got two cells,
and like they're together, okay?
Okay.
And when you get a cut, it's like, oh,
put another cell.
I can't hear you. We're separated, so we gotta rebuild until I could hear you again. We're connected.
Right. So then it creates bridges.
Yeah. And then when a bridge is severed, it's like, oh, we want to create the
Yeah.
bridge again. So then what happens is like, I don't know how many cells are in an organism, like hundreds of millions. Is there a billion?
Billions.
Sorry, I should know this.
Hundreds of billions.
Okay, so there's hundreds of billion cells. So what happens then when you have one out of hundreds of billions that goes,
Yep.
I can't hear my neighbor. Okay?
Yeah.
But they're connected.
Yeah.
And so it's like, oh, I can't hear my neighbor. It's like, I'm going to start building out till I can start to hear a neighbor.
Right.
And so it just takes one out of your hundreds of billion cells to hear one.
Mm-hmm.
And so it then turns into this weird thing. It's like, you would think it's like, oh, they could be immortal. But then there's this random thing. It's like, oh, you have cancer all of a sudden. I can't hear you. I'm going to start spreading out. Oh, right?
Yeah.
And so that's how these rats die.
Okay.
Because they keep fucking, their
cells can't even.
It's
do what
uncontrolled.
they're
It's
supposed to do.
uncontrolled cell division, and it just
Gotcha.
fucking kills them.
Fascinating.
And so then, when you get about
Could one learn to control
Yeah.
this power? Not by the Jedi.
by the Jedi,
I had to throw in my daily Star Wars reference. I
So that was a
apologize.
good one.
Okay.
And so when getting about us humans,
Mm-hmm.
it almost then seems like we're supposed to age on purpose, because
Yes.
seeing the rat, like, what's the point if we can be immortal
Mm-hmm.
if at some point in your age, like let's just say like a 40-year-old, for example,
Mm-hmm.
like if we were like a rat where we could just, like, every part of our body unlimited,
heals.
like just heals, like there's no I forgot the word. There's a word for aging, the scientific, I don't remember. But like if we weren't to age and we were to just keep repairing our cells and cell division
Infinite
and whatnot,
energy.
then maybe we'd all die at 40, because it just takes one of our billions of
It
cells
just cut our lifespan
to
in
be like,
half.
oh, I can't hear. And so then, depending on,
Well,
yeah,
something just popped in my head. I just had an epiphany. So the recently I heard one of the main reasons, like, what aging is actually your cells doing exactly that and replicating themselves, and basically the older you get, the more your cells begin to mutate, because there's so many copies of a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy. You're losing so much of your DNA
yeah,
that, like, by the time you're, like, way past, like, in, I don't know, your 70s or whatever, your cells are so, like, aged by the point that
senescence. That's what
senescence.
it's called. Senescence.
Okay. It's like, so if your cells, all they did was do that at a faster rate, you just reach that mutation point of all your cells at a faster rate.
Okay.
Which makes sense, because that's exactly what you're saying, is like, yes, you have rapid cell activity, I guess, but that also means all you're doing is taking that time that you would live and pushing it down. So if you, in my case, you break a foot,
Yeah.
takes 4 weeks to heal.
Yeah.
It would take 2 weeks to heal,
Yeah.
but that's also 2 weeks off of my life,
I see. Okay. Yeah.
essentially, but like across the board.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That was the epiphany I had when you said that. I was like, that might be the whole thing, is like, not so much a cancer thing, even though it is. It's also like your natural body function to eventually degrade itself.
Yeah. Like,
and all you're doing is squeezing the time.
yeah. Like the whole point of our natural body is like, what's the best thing we could do for you to survive? That's
Yes.
what traits can we give you to survive?
Epic gamer skills.
Yeah, exactly.
Give you enough money to buy some Mountain Dew.
Yes, sir.
And
So,
melt away.
because what's interesting about it, how they put it is,
Mm-hmm.
or how Brett Weinstein puts it, like, let's just say you have a trait that
Mm-hmm.
will be so beneficial to you from like your early stages in life. Well, it doesn't matter, because you probably won't reach that old ass age where you start facing the negative consequences of that trait. So your body's going to be like, okay, we're going to give you this really good early game trait or early game part of life, because you're not going to face the consequences of
You're not
it in the
going to
future.
reach the
You're not going to become old
It's
enough.
exactly the thing with, I don't know, obviously I'm not an expert on this subject, but like people with giantism live
Yeah.
shorter because their body can't sustain that.
They die really fast.
Yeah, but like
Or
technically you've got bigger body mass to do whatever. I wouldn't say that's necessarily a fully advantageous trait to have as a human.
Yeah.
But in potentially other creatures, getting bigger or smaller
Yeah.
with evolution sometimes creates a good adaptation trait, and
Yeah.
then that just all of a sudden you have a new line
Yeah.
of DNA.
Well, it could be interesting now because we're like, you know, we're getting pretty good at living longer.
For the most part.
Yeah, you know, in my economic teachers,
Mm-hmm.
they talk about it. He said life from like the fucking like 1500s wasn't that different from a life in like the 1600s, even though it's literally 100 years in terms of like cleanliness and all that. There
Right.
wasn't much of a big difference.
Mm-hmm.
And so like the quality of life wasn't that
there hasn't
different.
been as big of a, as
Even-
dramatic of a change.
Yeah, even though it literally like 100 years is a long fucking time, unless you want to be like one of those people that's like, oh well, the Earth's like millions and millions of years old. But for us, you know, that's over a lifetime or a lifetime for some people.
Yeah.
For them, that was way above a lifetime. And so we're in this position now where it's like we're not like that anymore. We're starting to live a lot longer, and
Right.
so now I wonder if these, and I don't know any examples of these traits. It's more like the concept, and so I wonder if it just turns into, you know, maybe like we become less athletic because maybe in this immediate time it's like, oh, that's so good for you.
Right.
But then maybe if you sacrifice that for something else, maybe something all the way over here, then that's when it kicks in.
Well, it's already started happening technically.
Yeah.
Humans as a excuse me. Humans in general over the past hundreds of years
Yeah.
gradually become less and less and less physical because
Yeah.
we're using tools and machines to do the work for us,
Yeah.
and that's just the path we're on.
Yeah.
So-
like, that's just how it is.
But it is fascinating to think like the extreme of it, like eventually I don't think it's going to get to the point where people are like, you're going to be a floating head in a jar.
Yeah.
But
Hopefully
I do
not
think,
people like Wall-E. I don't want to be that.
Oh, no. Yeah. So, I mean, that is a possibility, I think. But I think at the same time, humans are so critical of each other and themselves that like
Yeah.
we'll never allow ourselves to like settle there.
Yeah.
But it's also like, I think we'll get to the point where it's like we don't have to really endanger ourselves as much.
Yeah. When talking about, like, I feel like it's so complicated. Like, people don't even know how to fucking sleep right.
Yeah.
They're like, it's like, oh, like, this, like, sleeping like this is good, sleeping like that's fine.
Position-wise.
Position-wise, like,
Yeah.
there's no one good nutritional diet for, like, there's so much
Yeah.
fucking, what's the word here? Not interactions, not intervals.
Too many variables.
Variables. There's so
Yes.
many variables on what's best for you. It's just like,
There's no way to pick the right thing.
Yeah,
And there's
like-
too many. Here might be controversial. There's way too many humans on this planet.
We got a person.
Not saying.
Oh my god.
Yes. I'm not alluding to
Should
anything.
we start killing people?
No. That's exactly what I'm not saying. I'm saying, like,
Genocide?
I think the overpopulation is causing so many problems for humans and, dare I say, the environment. But I think
Yeah.
a solution could be populating elsewhere, like expanding, which also, considering humans aren't really focusing, I mean, yes, there are some humans focusing on space, but like we are way more worried about politics and world order and like international type stuff. Like, yes, that's important, but at the rate we're going, we're never going to leave Earth before we die, I feel.
Yeah.
At least not sustainably.
Yeah, like, see, there's even more bullshit when you start talking about space, because there's this one dude I liked, I forgot his name, but now there's, like, reports of, like, people coming back from space, and they're like, oh, your brain's different now.
Oh, yeah, I can see that.
And then they're like, oh, that's just, like, there's just so much of the unknown. And again, like, when we just try to get back to the core concept of, like, what's best for you, there just seems to be so many things that could be the best thing for you.
Right.
And it's like, how do you know it is the best thing? It's like,
yeah.
Unless it's immediate, where it's like, because I know people with, like, inflammation or whatever, when they eat, like, a bunch of carbohydrates, their inflammation kicks up, like, oh, God, I'm so achy, blah, blah, blah. And when you immediately cut those out, it's like, oh, I'm not achy anymore, for example.
Right. There's simple A-B solutions.
Yeah.
But I feel like
we get to, like, the 5D chest shit, where we're talking about, like, 20 years from now. It's like, was it because I kept taking fucking fish oil?
Should I not have drank Mountain Dew every single day?
Yeah, shit like that.
And then, like, all of a sudden your spinal cord's degrading or whatever. I feel like, obviously that was, I don't even, anyways.
It was an example.
Yes,
It was an example, not literal.
Exaggeration. But I think, here's something that I've believed for a long time, a couple years, like, obviously my version of a long time. Anyways. I think we as humans have an instinct to know everything, and our entire drive, and you could argue the purpose in life is to learn.
Yeah, well,
but like that has driven humans to almost become so, like, I use this term sort of lightly. It's caused humans to become arrogant and very self-centered.
Here, I think this is a good, like, this is my definition for it.
Okay.
You might like it.
Okay.
I think the purpose of the human is to flourish.
Flourish.
Yeah.
Elaborate.
So, for example, you said to learn.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe for some people, to learn, that's how they flourish. That's what's going to give them fulfillment in life. Maybe for the other dude, contributing to society, just playing games, paying taxes or whatever. Maybe that's what he wants to do. Like, that's he's perfectly happy
where
with
he's at,
working a retail job, going home, and then just playing some games or something
going to
else.
bed, waking up,
Yeah,
and then
and just repeating because for some people, like for me, that'd drive me fucking insane.
Yeah.
I'd be like, I can't do this.
There's got to be progression, and it's technically it's also affected by your hormones and your age and all that. But
so for me, I like, and this is like from some Greek dude, because like it seems like every Greek dude has like said everything already. We're just the dumbasses.
The Greeks.
Yeah, we're just the dumbasses that forgot what they taught.
Well, they don't know what I was gonna say a lantern, but they totally know what a lantern is. A light bulb is what I was gonna say.
Well, like they got that weird, I forgot what it's called, but they had like a computer, and it's like has a bunch of some weird.
What?
Yeah, it was found off their coast.
What?
Aliens are real. I swear to God.
I don't hear on topic of aliens.
Yeah.
I think and this actually relates back to my original point.
Okay.
Humans, I feel, and I'm fully aware this can conflict with beliefs, but I definitely feel that we are not the only living organisms in this universe.
I 100% agree.
In this reality. That is, in my opinion, next to impossible to be the case. Because there is no way with the very common elements that make life possible on Earth, there's no way one other planet doesn't have it.
Like, okay.
There's not even a number that I could even speak with that number of planets. I'm not saying there's other humans, but there's definitely other life.
Yeah. So when you're talking about like size and scaling, like I saw a fucking spider. Like, I don't know if you know those little red fuckers that are so like they're red.
They're tiny.
I don't know if you call it a spider. Do you know what that is?
They're walking pimples.
Yeah. Like I looked at one, I just saw it, and I laughed because I'm like it's on the driveway, or not on the driveway. It was on the garage code, and like for all I know, it could think like
it doesn't think.
Well, for example, like if it did think, like the subdivision could be like
the universe,
yeah,
the known universe.
Yeah, for that thing, that literally probably is part of part of that subdivision is going to be the unknown universe
the whole
as well.
numpad is its known universe.
Yeah, that's the world. That's the world.
That's the planet.
When it leaves it, it's like, oh, we're in space now.
Yeah.
And so then when you apply, and then when you apply that to us, it's like
here's the other
what
thing.
The fuck?
So what I was saying was humans being so self-centered and so like arrogant in a sense of we literally only view our surroundings with what is physically possible by our eyes, our ears, our noses, our mouth, all of our senses.
Yeah.
There's only 6 of them. I know there's more out there.
Is there 5?
Than those. There's 5
senses.
There's a 6th sense, which is the day. Anyways, 6th sense doesn't exist. It's a movie. 5 senses.
See, I think there might be a 6th sense. Okay,
one for each finger.
Yeah.
Like I learned in preschool and forgot just now.
Touch, sight, smell,
taste.
Did I say hearing?
No.
Hearing.
Hearing. Yep.
There you go.
There's your 5. Anyways, there's only 5 senses for us to observe infinity of the universe. And there's already a spectrum of light,
dude, holy shit,
that we can only see one I don't know the one wavelength of. So there could be quadrillions of things on Earth that we physically can't comprehend, and there is, merely because of our specific circumstances and specific set of tools as humans.
Yeah.
That I think it's so dumb that we even think we know a little bit about the universe.
Yeah, okay.
We don't know,
dude,
anything.
It gets so... See, okay, I do like math. So for me, part of flourishing is learning something.
Yes.
But I have to be a very, like, tactile. Like, I can't just pick up anything and fucking learn it.
Right.
Like, the general sense, and I'm not saying this is true, but they're like, the perfection's put in by the passion. Mm-hmm. For me, it's, and you know, you could call this a weakness of will, whatever you want to call it, but it's so much easier when you pick up something you like, and then you just learn it like that.
Yes.
Because when you're doing something you don't like, you're sitting there counting the fucking time.
Oh, yeah.
And you're like, oh, it's hell.
You've got the motivation, internal motivation for it, obviously.
Yeah. And so as you're saying, like, the 5 sense, okay, that's how we perceive our reality. Because then, like, so I like to talk to Dave about dimensions.
Okay.
And so, for example, we have our 3 dimensions.
Yes.
Like, X, Y, Z.
Yeah.
Like, that we just have our 3 dimensions. And so then, like, for example, if you were to take a person that's in a 2-dimensional space, you'd be like, okay,
we can't even comprehend 2-dimensional space.
Yeah, like we could physically see it though. Like I could literally just draw an L and be like, that's 2 dimensions.
I guess a letter. I guess like a drawing of a letter is.
Yeah, like I could literally just draw like stick figures and be like, that's how their world is. If you were to be a 2-dimensional person.
Look, this is 2-dimensional space.
Yes.
This is their universe.
Yeah. And then when you get 1 dimension is just like, okay, so a good way to describe dimensions, you help understand, like,
okay,
you start with a dot, that's 0 dimensions, and then you separate the dots, that's 2 dimensions.
That's 2 dimensions.
And then you separate the lines. So you, okay.
My mind just got blown.
No, okay, so you have a line, okay?
Okay.
Because that's 1 dimension, right?
Yes.
And then when you pull the line apart, okay?
What do you mean, like forward? So wait,
yeah,
so you went from 0 to 2 dimensions though?
No.
Because you were like the dot's 0.
Yeah, the dot's 0, and then you just put a dot here, just a line. That's 1.
Yep, a line. So that's
just
1 dimension.
There's not up or down, left or right. It's just left to right. Look,
okay.
So it's just left to right.
So that's just 1 dimension.
It's 1.
Yeah.
And so we started with taking a dot with another dot. And so what happens if we take a line with another line? You get 2 lines.
Yes.
And that gives you 2. That gives you 2 lines.
Oh, like in an L.
Yeah,
like an axis.
Like an L. Because we started with a dot to dot.
And then you take that.
And then you pull it.
Yes.
You literally pull it, and you could draw a square, which you could draw a 2-dimensional square of that.
Yes.
Because you take the line and you pull it.
Okay.
So, which is perfect now.
So then you take that square and you pull it out.
And then you pull it out. That's your 3rd dimension, which is what we have.
Oh, God. So what's 4?
Exactly. And so, because I talked to Dave, I think it's called a tesseract, a popular word or whatever. But like, there's like animations of it drawn like in 3D to try to represent.
Yeah.
Like I don't like.
There's also the theory that time is the fourth dimension.
Yes.
But I also don't.
Like,
I don't know how I feel about that one.
It's just crazy
because there's space.
Like yeah, like so when I was explaining, you take the dot, you draw it, you make out a line, and then you separate the lines. You got your square.
Yes.
Like for us, yeah, like we like perfectly clear understand 3 dimensions. But then if you were to take the stick figure, dude, and be like, hey, draw me a sphere.
You'd be like, whoa.
Yeah, the fucker's gonna look at you and be like, what are you on?
What's a sphere? And it's like me being like, draw a close to that.
Yeah.
And they're like, whoa.
And so then when I look at animations of a fourth dimensional object, I'm just like, what the fuck am I looking at? My monkey brain. I have a monkey brain.
My monkey brain.
Dude, okay, I swear to God.
That's so funny.
Okay, so this isn't okay.
Yeah.
I think from what I understand, it goes to 13 dimensions. When you so when you got the square right, and then you pull that, you get this weird conglomerate, and then it's like, so we can't even understand the fourth one, right? And then you take that fourth one, you pull into the fifth. You're like, what's going on?
Wait, why is 13 the number though?
I have no fucking clue. But so then, maybe you could put this on screen.
Okay. We'll do an example.
Dude, I swear to God.
Let me see.
Oh, is this even the right one? Hold on. Yeah, this is the right one. I swear to God. Ooh. Oh, this is it. Okay. I'd have to. Okay.
What?
I could be showing you the wrong. Because like.
Yeah, don't taint my mind.
When you get to like 6 and up, it's like.
Okay, so I would like to just say my goodbyes now. If my brain explodes, my spirit leaves my body when I experience the next 5 levels of dimension.
Okay, this one was. Okay, hold on. Sorry, I was looking at the 10th dimension.
My bad, bro. That's the 10th dimension. Sorry, I'll tone it down.
Is this? I'm only seeing pictures of the 10th. When it hold on. Like, I think. See, when I look at a lot of these symbols and patterns, Kay, I swear to God, it has something to do with like I look at that and be like, I feel like that has a lot to do with like Aztec patterns when you look at like the tattoos and symbols on their back, or I look at like some Hindu patterns. You know how they
like
have
ancient type.
Yeah, like you know the stereotypical like hippie where they have like their rug on their fucking wall and it has all these patterns.
A tapestry, Jerry?
A tapestry.
Yes, I know. I just want to see the picture.
Yes.
Show me the 4th, 5th, and 6th dimension.
Hold on. I wish to God.
Okay. While you're looking for it, I'm gonna say something about time and a really interesting thing that it's from multiple things. So it's like I watched this video by Kurt Sagat. Do you know Kurt Sagat?
I don't know.
So they're this animation channel. It's like motion graphics animation, and then they talk about various things. And this one they talked about was like the philosophy of the egg, like the theory of the egg.
Okay.
And the entire theory is that every human...
Oh, yes, I do remember.
Yes, okay, so every
human that's a good one.
Is the same person living different lives, basically. And the idea is like time doesn't work the way we perceive it. We think time is on a timeline where it's like the past can never be touched again and the future will never be... You can never jump to the future. So you can only live in the present. But the way that theory, or the egg theory described it, and Kurt Sagat didn't create the egg theory. It was from some other guy, but that was where I heard about it. But basically the idea was like you can be placed at any point in time and live within that point in time. So like you die, then you reborn into the 1400s or whatever. Yeah. And the guy's like, well, how is that even possible? That already happened. He's like, well, time doesn't work the way you think it works. It works much more like a pool of time, and you're just in one part of the pool, and then you just get moved to another part of the pool. And another thing is, another one that kind of made me think about this was Norse mythology. The specific situation that I heard about it in was...
Okay, okay. I have some pictures to show you, like references.
Okay, one second. Let me finish my
Okay,
thought.
yeah, sorry.
Yeah, you're good. So it was God of War, and he was basically talking about the world serpent, Jormungandr, fighting Thor during Ragnarok,
Yes.
which is the end of the worlds.
Yes.
And
I know there's time involved in
yes,
there.
so then Jormungandr is like a little baby when he fights Thor during Ragnarok.
Oh, really? He's not like
And then
the... Okay.
he loses to Thor
Okay.
so hard that he gets blasted back in time.
Okay.
Grows into the giant world serpent that we know.
Okay.
And then causes Ragnarok in the future, knowing that he's going to fight Thor again. So the idea was like,
How does that work?
this thing, and it's a paradox, because this thing, the reason Jormungandr fought Thor as a baby was because of Ragnarok, but then he got sent in time to then set Ragnarok in motion. I think I'm getting that right, at least from what I perceive, and this is what sparked this whole idea. And it's like, time is weird because it is. Some people believe that time is a concept. Other people believe time is a thing, like a physical thing, or time is the fourth dimension. And it's like, just time in general is one of those things as humans that we can't wrap our brains around. We can measure it, just like you can measure a liter of
like
water.
you could do you could like mathematically prove something, but then when you try to be like,
yeah, but how does it work?
yeah, like when you get to that, like, I feel like a lot of that is what ends up happening, where you could, like, for example, it's like an apple falls. It's like, why did it fall? It's like, oh, there's a thing called gravity. It's like, oh, how does gravity work? It's like, oh, it got a bunch of mass. It's like, okay, well, why does it work that way?
Right.
And you can keep asking why.
And then you get to the point where it's like, ooh, space.
Yeah.
What is it? Anyways, yes, the way gravity works.
Yeah. Like, it's just, that's how it is. And
yes,
I feel like we get, okay, so there's a thing called geometric unity. I didn't watch it. Davis tried to watch it. He's like, too big brain for me.
Too big brain.
I couldn't understand.
Too galaxy wrinkle brain for me.
Basically, I think it was something along the lines of like, okay, I'm not going to like mention, okay, let's just take back geometric unity.
Okay.
How I view it, like, let's just say our universe, like, that's everything, parentheses.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I almost feel like, for example, it's like a line of code. Like, for example, when you're playing a game, like, the physics work that way because that's how you coded it.
Yes.
Like, everything's working because
there's a rule set that you
that's
created.
how you made it.
Yes.
And so, like, for example, then, like, when I drop the phone, it falls.
Yes.
So then what if you went somewhere far, far, far away that has a different set of code that has different applications of how things work? Like, interactions are completely different from how interactions we have here.
Yep.
Which I still think might be part of geometric unity. But anyways, so I swear to God, there's a 13th, but this only shows at 12.
Oh God, I'm about to see the dimensions.
Okay, so this is the one, right?
Okay, one.
Because before,
dot
like
to
a dot, so that's the dot 0, but then you go dot to dot, you get
That's
a 1.
one dimension.
So then you pull it apart.
Yep, 2 dimensions.
And then
I'm seeing the pictures below and it's freaking me out. Okay.
you see the cube?
What? How is that a cube?
Like, if you like angle it, you'd see it.
Oh,
like,
yeah. Okay, yes. Okay.
But like, also, that's just how it's drawn. Like,
That's just how it's. Yes, that makes sense.
so there's an orange dot in the middle to represent like a physical space.
Right. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Like,
The depth.
Yeah, like showing you depth. And so then already when I
think they're just keeping the center
I think
point.
there's supposed to be like 8 cubes in a 4 cube. Okay, you see, like, okay, so this is what then this looks like.
Ooh, my brain. What? What does that even look
Dude, it gets
like?
worse. And so then you like it just starts getting the same then, where like you look at that.
What?
That's a 5 cube.
See, you could look at that and be like, oh, it's a crazy shape. But like you look at it within the context of thinking this is showing dimensions, then you're like, what?
Yeah.
Where does that even
We're stuck
go?
here at 3.
Yes.
And so you get to 6. And you get to 7.
Oh my God. It just gets more and more insane.
You get an 8.
I could see the one below it, which is freaking me out.
As they get to 9. And it's,
Okay.
well, because like, you can't see, like, it starts to build off from each other because we started with red, because that's just like, because like if we go back up,
Yeah.
it was red because there's nothing there. It's like it's one dimension. Like that's just one
Yeah,
to one.
there's nothing in front of it or behind it.
Yeah. And
But
so then
now
when-
it's like
yeah,
you're
so
getting
you
all
get
these
to so
colors.
when you start like the pattern is so you get to one like you have red on the outside,
Okay.
and then the orange was like the 3-dimension like our cube.
Uh-huh.
But then you get to like, oh, what's the yellow doing in there?
What's the green?
Yeah, what's the green? What's the green? What like
Ugh.
what's it like in the center?
Oh God. So,
And then hold on, like we're almost done.
oh my,
And then you get to 10, and you get to 11.
11.
And
it
it's
looks
just like-
it just it does look like a tapestry, Jared.
Wait, like I swear, like I'm like, is that
What?
God's eye? Is that God?
No, dude.
Like
he's not
Yeah,
limited to the
he's not
11th
limited.
dimension. Hello?
see, and there's so the 13th that I've okay, so you got this one,
Yes.
and then the 13th one, which is not on here. It like adds in like 5 new colors.
Oh
there's
my.
like blue. There's like 2 different shades of blue. There's pink and purple in there.
I'll make this final point and then we'll wrap it up.
All right.
So, I guess the theory about black holes is that okay. So
Yeah.
you know how you've seen the space-time.
Yeah, like Interstellar or whatever. When you woke up and I was watching Interstellar by myself, what
Oh,
the fuck's
dude.
going on?
Yeah. I finished that. I rewatched that movie recently.
Okay, I don't remember anything from it.
So, anyways, the way gravity works is like space-time is like a sheet, and then you place this mass on top,
Yeah, and it like starts to warp or
and
some
then it
shit.
like,
It's like, oh,
weights down like a blanket, right? And then things start spiraling around it. So, have you seen a picture? I'm gonna pull this up because you showed me a picture, so I can show you a picture. Have you seen a picture of what a black hole looks like on the space-time?
I just know we're getting to the point of where it's like this is bullshit. What's going
Okay,
on?
look at this.
My monkey brain don't get it.
This ties into this ties in
Yeah.
to the whole dimensions thing.
Okay.
So that's the sun. The sun has a ton of gravity, right?
Okay. Like yeah, this is like we're getting an
Yes.
idea of reference here.
Yes. This is giving you a reference because the black hole
Okay.
is crazy. And then neutron stars are like way denser.
Yeah. Neutron star is like, I think that's the densest thing besides a black hole. I'm
Yes.
pretty, that's literally
Yes.
like the
Yes.
densest thing
Because
besides
that's
a
right
black
before
hole.
it turns into a black hole.
Yeah.
This is a black hole.
Wait, go scroll over to the left so I can get a. Isn't the whole point of black holes having infinite mass? Isn't that the point?
The point of that was like, in terms of dimensions,
Yeah.
could that be what the fourth dimension is?
I see what you're like something so weird.
Because you look at the sun, you're like,
Yeah.
that's not lower than everything else. But
Yeah.
like, that's because we can only see in 3 dimensions. What if it is genuinely like in a pit? And we physically can't comprehend that, and
Yeah.
it's all we can see is the light coming from it.
Yeah.
So it's like, whatever dimension that would be is like, that's kind of what sparked my thought on it. Is like black holes could be an anomaly of a different dimension that we
I see. Maybe that's how we get.
and we can only see it.
Dude, maybe that's how we get big brain.
Dude, should we go to a black
Yeah, let's
hole?
go back.
No, like
That's how we get big brain.
We can technically we can only really perceive it in 2D because light is how we perceive things.
Well, we
in
still not like because
3
there's still the
dimensions.
third dimensional part forward backwards for
Well,
example.
yes, it still exists, but it's like you can't even see it because light doesn't bounce off or come out of it. All you
Yeah,
can see
like-
is the absence of light.
Yes.
So it's like that could be like one of the things that it's like we literally don't. We have the black hole could be a thing. It could be even like people speculate they're wormholes, they're portals. It could even be like
We
a
sound like
living
crack
thing.
addicts.
It could be literally anything, and we have no idea. And then
Yeah.
for us to look at a black hole and be like, that exists, that is there within this universe,
Yeah.
and then to be like, nah, we're the only living creatures.
Yeah.
It's
all the way back to that. All the way back
it's
to
like
yeah.
mind blowing. But
Aliens are real.
yes, let's talk about aliens next time then, because
Okay,
I really like talking about that.
Okay, we'll talk about aliens next
So,
time.
anyways, this has been episode 0. I didn't even say the name of the podcast, which I should, and it's called In Our Headspace. And we went from like kind of like political at the beginning to like way more sciencey, and then just
Yeah.
like wrinkle brain topics,
All right.
big brain, galaxy brain. Anyways,
I'm excited
guess
to
I
not
want
hear my shit
my
quality
point-
voice.
Jared, your voice sounds amazing in
Does
these
it?
mics.
Oh,
yes.
sure, you're making me blush.
I won't lie. I literally thought I was just listening to a podcast.
Okay.
Like when you were like on your big tangent earlier. But anyways, I guess I want feedback on if it's like what's more enjoyable to listen to, or if it's better for us to just go like start on one thing and naturally flow into the other. Because that's kind of what you've witnessed here today, is literally just a flow of conversation. I'll edit some things, kind of just to keep it moving. But like, as far as a feel for what this is going to be, this is kind of what we're thinking.
I was about to dive into a whole thing, like
What?
about like jumping from topic to topic or being like consistent about one thing.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, that's going to take a while.
Yeah.
But it's basically up to the viewer.
Yes.
Essentially, for me, I think it's more interesting for us to jump around.
Yeah, and I think it's cool
me.
to be like, the first thing we talked about. What was the first thing we talked about? Something political.
I have no fucking
somewhat
clue.
political.
We talked about
the sun and vitamin D.
Talked about the medical industry.
And the medical industry and testing on rats. Anyways,
I was thinking it's gonna be a rough start. I was like, fuck,
I know.
I'm just gonna sit here and like be like piss off and.
No, I liked the transition point, and I think I might keep most of that in. But
all right.
Anyways, that was our first episode. I don't really know how long it's gonna be. We recorded for about an hour and a half or so.
Okay.
I don't know what the full length is, but yeah, that's episode 0. The whole point of episode 0 is to test the waters, get a feel for it, and then episode 1 will be like the true start to this whole thing. This one still gonna be out in the public, but I think episode 1 is where we'll really kind of get into the groove of a more not formatted, but more easily, like more straightforward topic type of thing. So anyways, thank you for watching.
All right.
Do you want to say anything, Jared, before you go?
I have no wisdom to give.
No wisdom? All right. See you in the 5th dimension. Bye.
Soundstripe.